all of you. Indeed, pleasure to invite our eminent speaker, Sri Rajendra Jyoti. Rajendra Jyoti is from Hubli. He is an engineer and later completed his MBA from Kaushal Institute of Management Studies. After that, that was in the year 1986, he completed his MBA from Kaushal Institute of Management Studies, Karnataka University, Dharwad. And he made his career for almost over 3 decades in Middle East. He's a person with expertise in supply chain, project management, general management, and operational contracts, procurement, and he has put in his services in oil sector. Worked with major oil and gas operator groups like Qatar Petroleum Qatar, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company UAE, Saudi Petrochemicals, then ABB Netherlands, Indian Petrochemicals. With these 34 years of experience, he has handled supply chain. Then he has been recipient of the Outstanding Performer Award among 4,500 people from the Qatar Gas CEO Award. Vast experience in handling project operational contracts worth billions in dollars for engineering and projects operations, maintenance, offshore shared services, corporate, IT, shipping, logistic departments, and so many such crucial areas. Recently, he has retired as the contracts manager and lead of contracts. Now he is giving time to the society by contributing to the various such initiatives of educating the young minds with his sharing of experiences. He has done a couple of such sessions for the education institution, and during his recent visit to our institution, he offered his services to share his expertise and knowledge with us. He has an extensive experience in leading the team of purchase engineers, buyers, and specialists, contract analysts, contract engineers, assistants in successfully meeting the company objectives. Proficient in supply chain related processes, as I said, he has managed three contractors forums with participation of over 1,000 people and has trained and mentored many nationals in Qatar, UAE, and effectively attain and manage the target positions independently. Leading by example and consistently rated as outstanding performer over the 10 years in Qatar Gas. He has interest in supply chain, project management, corporate communication, HR management, international human resources, project planning and control, production operations, and organizational behavior. With this brief experience, he is with us today to share the very important area, that is the topic which he has given to us that he will be discussing, is the life, business life and culture in the Middle East. Now, why this topic is important for us is very simple. When we are dealing in international scenario these days, we are not just confined to the Indian business scenario or culture. Either we may be working overseas or we have to get in touch with various people from across the globe, and understanding the business scenario and culture of different countries assumes the biggest importance and challenge. And somebody like Rajendra Jyoti, who has acquired expertise in such areas, is the right person to speak to us. And what does it mean by a given culture in that country, so that by any chance some of you really get over there, you have a first-hand knowledge, as much as if you get into any of the Indian companies and you are dealing with those companies, you know how the people behave, how the businesses operate there, so that the familiarity with them is giving us that ease of working. With this background, with this particular idea, our guest speaker, Sri Rajendra Jyoti, will be speaking to us for next about 40 minutes. And then we have a quick question answer session, and we'll close by 9:25 so that you are free for your next session. On behalf of the institution, On behalf of all of you, on behalf of Director Vishwanath Kurvi, I called a very warm welcome Sri Rajendra Jyoti, and now I request Rajendra Jyoti to take forward and enlighten us on that important issue. Rajendra Jyoti, welcome.
Yeah, before that, very good morning to all of you, Director Academics, Dr. Ramakant Kulkarni, and guest speaker of today's session, Mr. Rajendra Jyoti. I may be taking leave in between. I got a class, therefore I thought let me interact now only. In fact, we are very happy to have you, Mr. Rajendra, on today on this morning. I think my students are very lucky to have such a wonderful personality with great vast experience in the field of operations, projects, so on and so forth. And one more important point: you are from our place, Hubli. You studied in Hubli and also Dharwad KIMS. That way, you have that affinity towards this part of the country and also state, and also towards our students and the institutions offering management program in this part of the state. And with this interest, even though after retirement you wanted to be useful to the society and to the students, that way you are here with us, and in the days to come we'd like to look forward many more such association with you, and many more such programs which can be organized jointly. So now today I'd ask my all students to take the best advantage of the situation and explore the fullest of experience of Mr. Rajendra. So thank you one and all, and welcome once again, Mr. Rajendra, to the session organized by our institution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Ramakant sir, and Vishwanath. Thanks for your time for giving me an opportunity to talk to your students. Good morning to everyone there, boys and girls. I know it is like bit painful to get online classes always. Working from home or online classes are not suggested. This one, face-to-face meetings or talking to people individually or in the group across is always best part. But today we are all into this COVID situation where we are compelled to do this because of the safety or health, and all these importance is required. So as introduced by sir already, basically a mechanical engineer and an MBA from Kausali Institute. And why I choose this topic is when I was doing my engineering in BUB, I never knew what is Middle East. Even after doing MBA and working in Mumbai for almost 5-6 years, people used to talk about Dubai, Saudi and all. I never used to understand what is this. People talk so many things. So what is this Middle East business people talk? Middle East means people always think it is oil and gas. So even now also, whenever I meet somebody, people introduce me he is so and so, he has come from Dubai. There is a simple word, people just talk like Dubai is the thing which is connected with the Middle East. Nobody knows other countries there around, and it becomes really sometimes for me to tell that no, I'm not in Dubai, I'm working here, there and all, but I just leave it. Because common people understanding is Middle East means Dubai or Saudi. Some of you may be already aware of what is Middle East. So I will go with the agenda with some 5-6 points what I shared with the team already. Just a brief introduction about what is Middle East, which are the countries coming under Middle East, what type of economy we are talking about there in those countries, and what is the diversification, whatever the lookout all these countries are having for future now. And last 1 year, because of this COVID, a lot of effects are happening around the world, and even in the Middle East, same thing. We'll try to touch those points in brief. And let us talk about something about some cultural life, social life around there. I will be touching some general subjects also for people who are interested in future. We don't know where you guys, after completing your education or starting your career, which company, where you go, where you end up. Maybe as Ramakant sir told, you may be dealing with some of the companies connected with Middle East, or some of the companies, Indian companies working with Middle East. All this, maybe you come across with this. Now the world is very small. Many avenues are there for you to understand what is happening in the world. The situations are totally different now. In 1990s and whatever I was talking about my career, the effect was very less at that time. So let us start with some brief introduction, and we'll talk about the countries which are all coming under the Middle East. Like Middle East is completely the country is coming starting from somewhere after Afghanistan, starts from that side and towards the Yemen or Turkey. Like there are around 18 countries now in the Middle East. Prominence coming from there is basically Iran, Iraq. We are talking about Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Turkey and United Arab Emirates, Yemen. There are around 18 countries which are basically Arabic speaking, comprising of Arabic speaking Gulf Council countries. And as I told you, like Middle East is basically oil and gas, which is very volatile as on today, and due to some political conditions or the conflict between those countries coming into the mind of happening between those Middle East countries. Oil and gas market also is very fluctuating now, and as you know, like oil is fluctuating between $40 to $45 now. Gas between $1.5 to $2, which is way below the expected break-even price. So the many people are thinking that Middle East means oil and gas, but it is not the thing. Middle East means even a lot of expatriates, a lot of Indians stay there. A lot of people work there and made their home there for last 20, 30, 40 years. I know some people who have made their career there and they have made their life in those countries. And their kids are studying there. My kids also went through the same school, and families are raised. And life is as usual here and there is almost same thing, with some religious restrictions around in those countries because of their Islamic nature or whatever is in the, they follow the religious Islamic religion. Like, so I'm not trying to propagate any particular religion here. I'm just trying to connect you with those cultural habits coming from the particular religion there. And when we go there as a expatriate, we need to just follow them. We need to strictly follow their rules and regulations the country has laid out, the cultural conditions, and we need to abide by those living conditions there. We cannot just make comment about any religion, any this one there, because everybody has got their own faith. So we need to leave it to them. So there are some people are very skeptical, telling that, oh, Middle East sab khatam ho gaya. Now everything is closed, everything is crumbling down. This is not fair. That country is not doing well. Go there, life is horrible. And people keep on talking so many experiences they have got through. But for me, it is always looking in an optimistic way. Like some people, for him, a glass is half empty. For me, it is look like glass is half full. So like when I was moving to country like Saudi, people were just making a joke out of me, telling like you are living a life in Mumbai and going towards Saudi, you are taking such a risk, your family, your education, your kids' education, all these things, they all came into mind. But nothing like when we went there, it is quite normal. I mean, it is quite religious country. Follow those rules and regulations. My wife, my family, everybody loved the country, and life there for 2-3 years was very smooth and went on very well. In Middle East, like there are around 6 GCC countries coming under that. Prominent one is Saudi, UAE, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, and Bahrain. And fortunately or unfortunately, I happened to spend around 25 years in countries like Saudi, Qatar, and UAE, working in all major oil and gas companies there. I had an opportunity when I was working in Mumbai, and I just jumped in. And even I didn't know when I was moving to Saudi, like where I'm going into. But I took a chance, and it all worked out well. Thanks to God and my family support and all those things. We are talking about Middle East, means we are talking about around 700 million population, 700 to 750 million population. And the GDP of these countries is roughly around 3.5 to 4 trillion dollars. I hope everybody can understand million, billion, and trillions. I'm trying to use only those factors here because I'm not used to this crores and all still. Because for last 25 years, I'm used to this millions and billions and trillions. You can imagine like 4 trillion GDP is a complete This one coming from the Middle East. So it is roughly around 10% of the world GDP, which is very prominent in this part of the world. And some of these countries like Egypt and all coming under the Middle East have been coming from 3000 BCE. Some of them are very young also, like we can, for example, United Arab Emirates, which is very well known as Dubai now. People know only Dubai in Middle East, that is called United Arab Emirates, which is comprising of 7 states, 7 uh, small states there, and it's called as United Arab Emirates, which is formed in 1971. All these Middle East countries are prominently influenced by Indian culture or Indian economy during those days. Even for example, you can imagine like in UAE till 1971, I think Indian rupee was considered as official currency there. So like, yeah, there are a lot of Indians there. I mean, for a country like Qatar, where the population is around 2.7 million, around 27 lakhs, you can talk about. The Indians contribute around 7 to 8 lakhs Indians are around in a country like Qatar. Qatar is such a small country, like you can imagine coming from north to south or west to west is around 250 kilometers. So that is roughly coming from just a prospective distance wise, you can think about from Hubli to Chitradurga or maybe Tumkur or whatever, like you can imagine a small country of this size. So, but you can imagine the GDP of country like Qatar. It is having around 300 to 350 billion USD as a GDP as of now, which is a very high per capita ratio for any small country, which is one of the richest oil and gas country in this Middle East. So like, as I told you, it starts from Egypt and ends up with Iran, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, all this comes under Middle East. So basically, oil and gas is hydrocarbon exporting is the mainly oil and gas business there in the Middle East. But nowadays, some of these countries are trying to diversify or giving main prominence to other type of business there. Like for example, Egypt is going for a foreign, basically like a tourism and travel, which is more prominent there, and a lot of labor force available there are basically working under those service sectors. Agriculture is also picking up in Egyptian, and even in other countries like Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, everywhere, like a lot of impetus is being given to other businesses now, other than oil and gas, because of the volatile oil and gas market. Like there are a lot of changes coming out around the economy in the world economy. So the people are thinking for the future. The oil reserves in countries like Kuwait or UAE or Qatar or Iran, if it is around 100%, if you take, they have explored maybe around 10 to 15% so far. So far, the drilling or the extraction of oil and gas has been done only to 10 to 15%. That's what we do understand. So that you can imagine, like the God has given such a huge reserves for them, oil and gas reserves in those countries. But extraction or drilling at such a speed is not possible now. So there are experts who are telling that some of these reserves, maybe around 50-60% reserves, may still lie under the ground if they cannot explore all those things in the coming next 10 years. You must be knowing like all these electrical and everything taking over now. So the electrical driven motors and all those things are the future things coming up. So oil and gas prominence is people experts are telling like maybe not last more than 10 years. In the next 10 years we may see the changes. So like you can imagine, like they have explored around 10 to 15%. How much is still lying below the ground? So that they are sitting on the gold mine. All these countries are sitting on the gold mine. So international oil and gas giants like Shell, ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, Total, BP, and all those countries, all those major oil and gas operators, they do have business in these countries. They do have agreement with the national oil companies. Like, for example, in ADNOC in Abu Dhabi, or Qatar Petroleum in Qatar, or Egyptian Oil Company in Egypt. They do have a collaboration with them, and they try to do the exploration. They do the installation of the platforms or the plant and everything, and they operate them on there for 25 years, 30 years agreements. So all these companies are making huge business in these countries. So like uh, Iran and Iraq also like prominence in oil and gas, but now they are also moving towards some of the capitalist markets like automotive, telecommunications, agriculture, petrochemicals, mining, steel, like all those other areas like banking, insurance in Bahrain. They are picking up. Like in Dubai is basically trading. Some of these you must have visited already Dubai, or you must have visited any of these Middle East countries. You must be knowing like city like Dubai always on a air bubble. Like so, the prominence given for tourism and travel there, or the life in Dubai is totally depending on the business of tourism. Like so, but that is not the case in case of Abu Dhabi, or Kuwait, or even in Oman. So the oil and gas business still prominence there, but Kuwait is also trying to move towards some manufacturing and financial institutions and construction and transport business. Oman is going into different crude oil production and refining. Apart from that, they are going into cement, copper, steel manufacturing, chemical manufacturing business in Oman. Like Sharjah, you must be knowing, like there is also meant for tourism. So all these countries are basically depending on those oil and gas and other prominence coming for the different businesses like manufacturing and all. The supporting industries for oil and gas, like uh, the fabrication industries, or some of the small pipe fittings manufacturing companies, they're all coming up in these countries now. So they're trying to promote these businesses in their countries, and they're trying to have their own sustainability under these countries, especially after this COVID. Many people have realized like if any logistics issues comes up, or warehouse issues comes up in other countries, they cannot get the material. So they are all started looking into their own reliability on their own resources. Like normally, like used to be having an impression like Gulf means khajur. Khajur means dates. People used to think that we develop, they grow only dates. But that is not the case now. Even they are now going into all the vegetables. They are trying to bring their own fruits and everything they are doing. So like basically, even the dairy industries, like country like Saudi Arabia has got one of the biggest dairy industry in the world. And even country like Qatar, they also started having their own dairies, and money is not a problem for them. So, for example, when this one of the political issue going around in the Gulf is main prominence is Qatar, such a small country, has been put under embargo by 4 neighboring countries, that is Saudi, Bahrain, and UAE, and Egypt. They have put an embargo on Qatar because of some political differences there. So at that time, country like Qatar realized the importance of self-reliability. So they went all out overnight, and they started doing their own construction of their own internal. This one, for one of the example is dairy. They were completely depending on Saudi Arabia for their milk products. So one overnight they decided and imported around 5,000 buffaloes by air. You can imagine like getting so many buffaloes by air, and uh, putting a what you call like a dairy coming up within the next 3-4 months. They started their own dairy production there, and they spend money, and now the self reliability is coming up because of this political situation. So the things are picking up in a different way now. And you must be knowing like now we'll talk about something about the effect we had on the COVID because of this. And Everybody knows how COVID started in January, February, slowly picked up, and by month of March, everybody realized the impact of COVID. The whole world came to standstill. Tourism industry got impacted, airlines stopped, hotel business, everything. Like, I mean, you can imagine like what has happened. Like same thing has happened in Middle East also. All these countries have taken a very serious view about the COVID effects. Immediately, they took some of the countries took the lockdown also. Some of the countries went into closing their businesses like malls and schools, cinema halls, and all these things. What has happened in India? Same thing, lockdown. There also it happened. So the negative impact of COVID has given a lot of impact on the construction industry, oil and gas industry, and all these OPEC countries suffered a lot in oil and gas business because of the standstill in transportation and warehousing. Some of the ships which were covering oil and all were stranded in middle of the sea, and there was no market, there was no buyers, none of the buyers were interested in lifting the oil and gas from the warehouses, from the storage locations. So you must be aware, like in month of April or May, the oil price was going in negative. Forward prices were going in negative. That means people were, the manufacturers were looking for somebody to pick up this oil from their warehouses, and they were ready to pay for it actually. That type of situation came up. But now, based on some understanding between the OPEC countries, now some of the production cut and all these things, they're slowly picking up. Oil price is roving around $40-45 per barrel now. So the business scenario there, because of this COVID situation, the impact is vast. All our offices, like even we all started working from home from March itself, and all the countries declared, most of the companies, private and government, everybody will start working from home. Schools will close, and all these things happen. And some of the projects which are coming up, I'm talking about the oil and gas projects, got impacted. Like that is the main bread and butter of Gulf. If the investment or the projects doesn't come up, the total economy got hit. So that same thing has happened in last 1 year now, and most of these countries, Saudi, UAE, Egypt, Bahrain, Qatar, everywhere, like the investment proposals have been postponed. For a country like Qatar, there is a plan of investing around $35 billion in next 5 years, which has been temporarily put on hold for this year. Hopefully in 2021, some of these projects will again take off, and the investment proposals and all will get cleared. Like so, the COVID has already given a lot of impact out there. So let us move towards the cultural life over there. So Middle East culture is basically Islamic oriented. Everybody knows that, and people greet each other on Salam Alaikum. They start with that, and the Islamic culture is the basic, base for all this cultural and social life there in those countries. Like especially this Islamic faith is there in most of these countries, and all this culture and business also depends on those Islamic nature. All this the life, like the governing laws, the education, the food, and the clothes, the daily routines, whatever, like even conversations across the people are all depending on this particular religious factor. Like family is more important for them, and there is basically like some of the prominent families are very influential in the country's GDPs. In countries like UAE, Qatar, and Saudi, some of the main prominent families are controlling the whole country's economy. In Qatar, Al Thanis are the royal families. They control literally around 90% of the country's GDP. So like the family business comes more prominence in these Gulf countries. And the loyalty between the family members and the tribe members is very important in doing the business with these countries. Like when somebody wants to do a business with Middle East countries, you should know the culture and the way they do the business. They always try to do the business with somebody known to them, or trying to have some middlemen which are known to them. They try to explore somebody which they are familiar, or which they are already aware of. Going and introducing yourself directly sometimes may not work there. Like all these countries have got all these major suppliers in these countries, like for example Schneider or Emerson or ABB, Siemens, whatever the unique name. They're all having their local agents there, local representatives there in those countries. So if you want to do some business with those countries, you need to touch with base with those representatives available there. They will be supporting you for any type of business there, and there will be a interacting point between those countries and the other interacting countries. So the local agency may play the prominence role in doing a business. All these agencies are covered under an agreement with the manufacturers and those countries' laws and regulations. So like normally they get a royalty or a commission, like 3, 4 or 5% or whatever is the understanding. So the doing the business with those countries directly is not suggested one. Normally the middle agents are the prominent one, which they play an important role in this business there. And these countries, the culturally, the hospitality is very prominent in these countries. Like they treat the guest very well. Even being an expatriate, like the importance is always given to the person's capabilities and knowledge and technical know-how, however it is. Like they give a lot of respect. You need to respect them, and they respect you. Once you develop your trust, once you develop your confidence, once they develop their confidence with you, always there is a possibility for your growth. And as always I tell people, like there is no shortcut for success. You need to always put your efforts and show your prominence there. Then they will welcome you always. Like working relationship Middle East people is normally they prefer a person face to face. And even the emphasis is given on the hospitality during some of the religious functions, or if you visit some of them, like they spend their time and resources in treating the guest in a very high level. Like sometime you feel like they are wasting some of the food or this one, but they give importance to the guest. So they want to check the guest test and all these things, and the hospitality is the most important thing there. And keeping the relationship, like as I told you, like they always interest in meeting face to face. And normally in the Middle East, the business meetings, if you expect one-to-one, normally it doesn't happen. Mostly they always come with their team as a backup. The main person will be having his 3-4 members in his team, and they will be supporting him in the business discussions. Once Middle East people always prefer to do business with whom they know. And if you are trying to do business in those countries, try to know the counterparts in between, whoever is there. And the dressing of these country nationals, or everybody knows, like abaya is whereby the ladies, they cover their head and the complete body, and some of the countries even the face and everything, only the eyes can be seen. And we need to respect the human this one there. Even in the offices and all, the prominence is given to the ladies, and they have got their separate offices and separate worshipping places. All these religious countries, they have got the praying halls and everything in the shopping malls, in the offices, everywhere. And I think during the prayer time, sometimes in some of the countries, all the business and everything comes to standstill. They close the hotels, they close some of the shopping malls and all these things during the religious prayers time. And whenever you want to do a business there, you want to have a business meetings there, give prominence to your time. You need to be punctual on your time. and they expect the meeting should happen as per the time. And during the meeting, they always give prominence to the participation. And for example, like even though I'm being an expatriate, I used to have a lot of high-level meetings with the management level officers regularly there in my company. Even though I'm not very prominent or expert in talking in Arabic, they used to tell all the participating members, even though I am the only English speaking guy there, they used to tell everybody to use English. Like, I mean, they will give importance to the person. Like, they will not degrade you. You need to show your importance, and the company supports you. Like, and coming to the multicultural or multinational effective, this one there in the working, this one, like most of the companies employ expatriates from many different countries there. Like, for example, where I was working in Qatar Gas, we had 64 nationalities. You can imagine my team, I was having around 14 different nationals working with me. Like you can imagine people from Qatar, that is Qataris, people from UAE, Egyptians, from Bangladesh, Philippines, Pakistanis. I had a Dutch, I had a British, I had an American guy working with me, and I mean, you have to be like, when you work there, you need to be very prominent to know their culture and the background, like because when you deal with them, you need to know like some of the body languages are interpreted in a different way there. So you need to be very thorough in knowing the background and people with whom you are working there, because of the multicultural or multinational environment there. And normally Arabic is the language of communication, and English is the business language for all this one. Like, if you know Arabic, it is well and good. It is advantageous. Otherwise, like, even English will suffice. And I have survived there with a little bit of Arabic there and English for last 25 years. But some of the bosses were jokingly telling me, like, Raj, you have done 25 years in Gulf and you need to talk to me in Arabic now. Like, but somehow the need didn't come to me, but everybody was dealing with me in English, and English is okay. Most of the companies when it comes to lower or middle management level, this one, a lot of Indians show their prominence there. Like, most of the work, many of these companies know that Indians are the guys who are doing the work there. A lot of respect is there for Indians. The contribution done by Indians in these countries is vast and humongous. Like, some of the business communities have come up very well in some of the countries like Saudi, UAE, and all. Indians have got their own establishment done, and they are doing business in billions now. All these have come up because of their own efforts and the own contribution they have done to those countries. And even the labor, the blue collar, this one is dominated by Indians in construction, roads, bridges, stadiums, oil and gas, manufacturing, everywhere. Like, you go for drilling, exploring, everywhere, anywhere, like you can see Indians. And I wanted to just touch base on some of the prominent oil and gas, typical oil and gas process. Is basically like we talk about three main streams here in oil and gas. It is upstream, midstream, and downstream. Upstream is basically exploring, like digging something from the ground, bringing it up. Midstream is the thing where you can process whatever crude comes out. Your processing it through some the plant or the processing unit there, store it and distribute it. Downstream is where this final products goes around and get into refining and how it is marketed or how it is finally sold to the customers. So these are the three main prominent streams in oil and gas. Those are really interested in this oil and gas, this one, like, I can spare time so separately on that, but today's subject is a little bit different. So let us move forward. coming to some general topic there in Gulf, like all these countries, as I told you, like Dubai and all, travel and tourism is the main bread and butter there. And Hajj pilgrimage and everything in Saudi, you know, like how prominent it is, like millions of pilgrims visit Saudi every year. And even the driving is left-hand drive there. In India, it is right-hand. So it is like basically opposite side. So when you go there, if you are interested in driving, you should go through the driving test and pass the exams. If you're having an Indian driving license, then you may get some chance directly to get into the driving test. And many of these international universities and everything, they have established their campuses in all these countries. The education is getting a prominence there: engineering, medical, the commercial, this one, everything. Like a lot of educational institutes have come up. For Indians, all the CBSE schools are available in most of these countries, and prominently, Indian schools are considered as one of the important hubs for Indians there. And Indian Embassy controls most of the Indian expatriate communities' day-to-day decision making with those governments. All these associations and some cultural organizations coming under Indian expatriates or different nationalities, they're all controlled by their embassies. So the cultural life for expatriates is quite open. Like in some of the countries like Egypt, Saudi and all, you cannot celebrate anything religiously outside. But in Dubai and all, you can celebrate your Diwali or other religious functions openly. Ganesh, I used to celebrate Ganesh and all Ganesh festivals. But there is a control. I mean, you need to be aware, like you are in a different country. You need to limit yourself to the local conditions. And one of the main important culture for this Islamic, this one is Ramadan. Ramadan is the fasting month. For 1 month in a year, they do this fasting. And this is very prominent month for them. Ramadan is considered as very holy religious month for them. So all this business, everything totally comes to a different way of working during Ramadan. During Ramadan, those who are fasting, they will be strictly following their fasting routine from morning till late evening. But other people who are not fasting, they have been advised not to eat or drink or smoke in front of these fasting people. So like most of the offices or outside this one, like the restaurants and all, are closing their canteens, and the nothing is available for outside to eat. So if you want to eat in your offices, you need to do it in a closed cabins, and you can drink water or whatever you can do, but we cannot do it openly. Like, but some of these nationals are very open nowadays. They don't mind continuing our business in the normal way, but being an expatriate, we need to give prominence to their religious aspects and support them. Like during Ramadan, most of the market, shopping malls and all, they do a lot of this one during night time, because during fasting, most of the nationals, they don't come out. They try to avoid shopping and everything. So normally the shopping starts after the break of fasting in the evening. So like from 9 to morning 3, 4, the markets open. So that lot of shopping happens during this Ramadan. A lot of companies come out with the discounts and promotional events during Ramadan. Somebody wants to do some investment or buy some new stuff, Ramadan is the best time to buy doing the shopping. Like, and coming to the banking or currency, like all these international banks are available there. Like some of the local banks also prominently take care of the business there in those countries. And the expatriates who are earning their money, they can remit their earnings to your respective countries through exchange houses or through online transfer or whatever. So the currency rates are all hedged to the normally US dollars. So the different countries have got different currency this one, and as of now, like for example, UAE dirhams or Qatari riyals, or exchange rate is around 20 rupees for 1 dirhams or 1 Qatar riyal. So like the saving potential in of some of these countries with the prominent jobs is quite good. You can have a good life, good education for the kids, and this one like. So as I told you, because of the oil and gas fluctuations or the volatile OPEC market, some of the projects have been postponed, some of the investments have been deferred. So the life slowly coming down and expenses are increasing in those countries. And some of the countries are trying to make some money by charging for each and everything now, for the visas, for the schooling, for even petrol and diesel prices have been increased in those countries. Earlier, we used to make a joke like one bottle of mineral water costs more than the 1 liter of petrol. Like, for example, when you convert into Indian rupees, like one bottle of water used to cost you around 25 rupees, but the petrol was available for 15 rupees. Just an example. Like, but now even the oil and gas rates fluctuation has made those countries to increase their petrol and diesel prices. So those areas also, like they are trying to say make some money and keep their GDPs intact. Trading between these Middle East countries is still issue. Like they don't have GCC council is still there, and trading between those countries or shipping some items between those countries attract customs. And every country has got their own customs duties applicable for the incoming goods, and they've got their tax regimes for some of the manufactured goods. VAT structure is around there. And for example, during blockade, Qatar suffered a lot, and all those countries were shipping items to them. There was no way of getting the material into country because of the closure of the borders with these countries. So the everybody knows, like most of you are already aware, like those who are interested in sports, like Qatar is hosting the next World Cup football in 2022. So they were building the stadiums and everything. Because of their strong economy, they could manage the construction of those stadiums without any problems. So hopefully this particular blockade issue comes to close soon. That's what we are hearing. So like these are all the areas where we can we talk about entertainment. If you talk about entertainment, like you can see a lot of Indian movies and Hollywood movies around in these countries. Country like Saudi and all, still there's a restriction on the entertainment, but UAE, Qatar, Bahrain and all are open for entertainment. Some of the prominent Indian Bollywood personalities also visit there, conduct their own uh, summits, and this one entertain the people there. And as I spoke to you about the local agency, I told you about that. And one of the important thing here is like all these countries have got their unique identification number for each and every person there. Like all the nationals are identified with the numbers, the unique identification number, like our Aadhaar number. And each and every the expatriate also is given one identification number when you enter the country. That number becomes your number as far as you stay in that country. That number is linked to everything what you do, like your medical, your insurance, your bank, your school, your work, your everything, like your family, your medical history, everything comes under that number. Like, so they are very strict on those identifying those numbers, and the number plays an important role, and the rules and regulations are very strict. And the traffic control by the police, one police manages the whole the traffic in the morning. You can imagine, like if he just raises his hands, the whole traffic will come to standstill. Such a strict rules and regulations. So like we need to be very careful when you travel to those countries or work in those countries. Even though like we talk about religious structure there, a lot of mosques and masjids are available for praying for Muslims, this one, but some of these countries are now giving prominence to other religions also, like in UAE, we have got Shiva temple. In Oman, you have got Krishna temple. Like other religions are also being this one. Most of these countries are also supporting Christianity now because of the expatriates coming from European and US and all these things. They support religiously. So, but the prominence given to Islamic nature. So I try to. I think I'm almost done. The time is also up. Like so. I touch base some of the important points on the business and the cultural this one on in this particular session. I don't know whether I was very fast or whether I was communicating with you properly. I'm not an academic person. I'm a professional. So naturally, like I'm not as like a prominent as a teacher, like teaching. So maybe I was clear in my whatever the points I wanted to raise it with you. So in case you have got any questions or anything, please feel free to raise it. And if somebody wants to talk to me individually also, please welcome. Anytime you can call me or talk to me. And I understand this is a post-graduation class. Out of once you complete this post-graduation, some of you will be moving towards your careers. And I wish you all the best on those career aspects. So feel free to raise your questions and I can answer you. Like
Mr. Jyoti, there is one question to you from a student. It has been sent in chat.
okay.
Question
Okay.
is, what opportunities we can have as MBA in HR specialization, any area in Gulf?
Okay. Okay. I think I wanted to touch on that. I just missed it actually. Like the main prominence, like in oil and gas industries, like engineering background is mostly preferred. But other non and oil and gas sectors also, like banking or the schooling or the insurance sector or medical and all those areas where non-engineers are also preferred, and MBAs are most welcome there. Like they like or they love MBAs. And getting a degree and going there is not the thing. Like you need to have some basic experience. Here, I prefer like I used to do a lot of recruitment, like in company like Qatar Gas. We never used to take any expatriate with just a qualification. Like we need to have some basic experience, and the thing is like uh, they expect you when you come there as an expatriate to start on work from the day one. They don't train you. Expatriates are not trained. Only the local community, like the local nationals, are trained from the basic. But the expatriate community going around from these countries, go joining to work there in some of those companies, they expect you to come prepared to take care of their work. So the MBAs and engineers and the CAs are the most welcome. And those who are in the dentist or the medical profession, they are also doing a lot of quite a healthy life there. Like they have got a very good profession, this one there. So what I suggest is like basically you need to spend your time. If you get an opportunity here related to, if somebody is interested in oil and gas industry, try to work in some of the country, some of the companies here in India like L&T or Reliance or those companies. Get some basic training. Basic training means working experience of 4 or 5 years. Maybe then it will be a bargaining point for you to get a good job, good professional entry into those countries. If you start fresh, maybe you end up with something different. Like some of the examples are also there. Like some people have tried them coming there, getting into some odd jobs, spoiling their career. That has also happened. Like you need to be very careful, especially some of these recruiting agencies, some of the frauds and all. Like you need to be very careful in these countries. People try to make some shortcuts and make some money. So you need to be careful with whom you are dealing, with whom you are trying to get a job. Like So definitely MBA is a preferred community there. So, but ultimately, like nobody will give you spoon feeding there. It is all you. You have to prove, you have to show your prominence, you have to show your contribution, you have to develop your trust. No shortcuts. And no bluffing or taking the people around. They immediately they come to know, like if somebody is bluffing, even though you think that the Arabs are not so fast to understand or something, that is wrong. I was reporting to a lady Qatari manager for 3 years. She was just in 30s. Such a education background she had, and such a very well behaved lady. Like you can't make out, like even though a 50-year-old person is reporting to her, but very well behaved. Like they also are very fast now. They are getting good education. They are trying to stand on their own. So you need to go prepared when you are going to these countries. If you want to contribute there, you need to be ready for doing something prominently supporting their countries. And once they know that you are a guy who can deliver, they will always encourage you. They will always, there is always a performance review, and they pick up the people. Even though you're expatriate, they know, like, for example, I started as an engineer, I ended up as a manager. Like, I'm just an example. I'm not boasting myself. I never imagined like I'll go as an engineer and end up in the same company. All the whole team will be reporting to me. Like, so there is an experience. There is effort required. Like, but all your qualifications are only a stepping stone. But when you get into the professional world is totally different. I think Ramakant sir must have already told you guys. It is totally a different cake.
One question which is there is, which is a safer country for the females to work among the countries that you have worked there?
Yeah. I mean, most of these countries are all what you call like
Safe.
supporting female. This one safe. Country like Saudi, I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong, like they were not allowing ladies to work, females to work, but now they're opening up slowly. Even they were not allowing ladies to drive and all, but now it is open. Now ladies can drive, and if some of the multinational companies are recruiting ladies there, and but still that religious control is there. But country like UAE, Qatar, and all, those who are having educational qualifications, the ladies with proper experience, they can step in. They're all safe, and you need to follow their rules and regulations. Religiously support them. Nobody will touch you. Like nobody will. This one. Families are all safe, having a good life. That's what I told you, like in the beginning. People were just trying to discourage me, like Saudi is like that, this and all. But nothing, like people are staying there for 30 years, 40 years. I know many people from Hubli, like there are a couple of families. One of my friend is there for last 35, 40 years now. He has done his whole life there in Saudi. They don't want to come back also. Like that's such a love they got that for that country now because of their long stay. Country like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and all are very open, Sharjah and all. Like Dubai, many people must have visited. I think some of the education institutes are taking students also to Dubai. I understand in Hubli. So when you visit all of those countries, try to use your time to look at the culture, look at the if you get a permission to visit some of the working places, visit some offices, visit some manufacturing facilities, so that will give a inside view what is happening there. Like.
Right. Any question? Any other question? What about the citizenship there?
Citizenship is not still 100% open there. Like some of the countries are giving you, like if you buy some properties there, if you put something, they will give you 100 years lease or something like that. You can stay in that country for 100 years. Your family can stay for 100 years. Some of the countries like UAE and all, they come up like that. Even Qatar has come up like that. But getting a citizenship is not still open. Like they have got some lot of conditions. lot of the predetermined rules and regulations you need to complete. Some of them who have gone in 1960s and 70s, they're some of the trading families, they have already become citizens of those countries. But now there is a lot of control now. Getting a citizenship in these countries is not so easy, like very strict. This one.
How these people stay for 30 years and 25 years, and as you stayed for so many years?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Like, I mean, you be on your own.
Okay.
Like you work, you be with your family, take care of yourself, support that country, support that religion. Whatever they do, you need to be, because you have gone there as a guest. So you need to respect them. Like, if you try to do something against this one, naturally you will have problems. But otherwise, my experience is that all these countries, wherever I visited, like some of them are even much better than some of the European countries I worked. To be frank with you, like I worked in Paris for a couple of years. I worked in Netherlands for almost half a year. So some of the countries of these where I worked, I love those working culture and the people.
Yep. For the freshers, what is the likely salary somebody could get there, and maybe accommodation possibilities depending on?
Yeah, there is a catch, huh? Like normally, like when somebody is new and if you don't know the background in Middle East, how the work goes around, how the salaries are structures and all done, they try to, some of these local guys in India, recruiting agencies, they tell you that you are going to get some money in lakhs. Somebody, they'll tell you like you will get in thousands, 50,000 or 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs you will get. It looks very big in Indian conditions, but the expenses are also like that there. Especially the housing and all the schooling and all is not cheap. So when you negotiate with any of the companies, any of these recruiting agencies, you need to be very clear what they are going to pay you in US dollars or local currency. Don't try to negotiate within Indian rupees. They try to give you a rosy picture, telling you that you are going to get 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs in a month, but it is nothing compared to the for entry level. It's fine. Like, I mean, when you are still young, a bachelor, you can start with salary of 2.5, 3 or lakhs, 4 lakhs or whatever this one. But when you get into family mode, it is not easy to manage. So you need to be very careful when you select your company or profession. What is your future and all. Just don't think of some thousands and lakhs when somebody is offering you a job. Think of all the other expenses you are going to incur. So what is the savings potential in those countries that you need to think? How much you want to save? If you are earning the same type of money here in India, no need to travel. Why you want to go and suffer or have a troublesome life? Like, troublesome means what I'm telling, like getting adjusted to those countries is not easy. When you go from a country like India, it is not easy. You will be spending a lot of time in getting adjusted to that. So be attentive and be clear what you want. And when you are going there, what is your objective? Like, are you going to make a career? Or are you interested in making a good savings? Like, so you need to balance between those and decide.
Anyway, thank you so much. You gave such a comprehensive view of the entire country, culture, business practices, the what is our precautions somebody has to take before entering, looking at the salaries, what are being offered, and what the real situation, the cost of living, the trade, commerce. I think in the time that was given to you, you've done a very fantastic job from the students' point of view, that all the people who have attended, they should get a very clear picture now what is the Middle East all about, and somebody like how you made your career, so that that can become a benchmark for these people who are aspiring to be there and those who want to be there. I think that's a very good session. I take it from your side. Thank you so much for your time, and definitely look forward to a similar session in supply chain management, since you've done a lot of things. Our students have one subject in supply chain management.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we will have one session from you exclusively on supply chain side, so that their knowledge in supply chain will be benefited. Have a very good day. Thanks for your time, and we log off. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody who have given a patient hearing for my 1 hour. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
We close the meeting here. You can get into the next class. Thanks for your time, all of you. I hope we have all are benefited by the experience and expertise our guest has shared with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.